Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Soccer Monkey Mike Show, where you are listening to a passionate conversation with passionate people. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. But now get this, for the new year 2021, we are actually going to be on Spotify. We're actually currently on Spotify at the Soccer Monkey Mike Show, which you guys could subscribe and listen to all the current interviews that are going to be up there in audio form, so you don't have to listen or watch this entire video. Just starting from there, you don't have to skip points. You can actually listen to the show on the road, as well as Apple Podcasts or wherever you can find your podcast. So I have a very interesting guest to really kick off the year strong. This man is known as the 6-Star Booty, and he is also trained under the tutelage of Seth Rollins and Merrick Brave in the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy as part of the 2016 class. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the man that brings the booty and the energy, JT Energy. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I appreciate you having me on. That was a great introduction. I always love to listen to everyone's interpretation and intake of how they want to announce me and who I am and my persona and how I present myself. But you did a great job, sir.
Well, I do appreciate it, my friend. I mean, I always just like to get these conversations with not just professional wrestlers, broadcasters, or whatever the case may be, but just with people in general, because I feel like that with these conversations, casual conversations, it really gives not only the talent that's involved in the interview, but also the audience listening or watching at home a great feel of just having this casual conversation.
Totally.
So what I love to ask you first is that before we had started, you are currently in quarantine. As far as this recording is, how has been the process like thus far?
We've gone through a lot this year. I feel like we've all kind of been in and out of a state of quarantine in some way, shape, or form this whole time. We've had to relearn how to live our everyday normal. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to relearn how to live my everyday normal for the next X amount of days while I let COVID-19 run its course and do what it needs to do with the human body. Each person is different, so I'm hoping it's as kind to me as it possibly can be, and let the antibodies and my body itself and what I've built it into do its job and take care of what I now have inside me and what a lot of Americans have dealt with for the past year.
Yeah, I mean, of course, when it comes to COVID-19, it really affects different people. It has different effects. Obviously, we've seen the numbers go up in many, many, many parts of the world. But hopefully, we do, again, wish you the best in your recovery process. But going past the COVID-19 talk, I feel like if I just say that name, I get demonetized. I'm not getting demonetized at all. But, it affects YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts in some weird way. But aside from that, I do want to talk about being a part of the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, being trained alongside, under the tutelage of Merrick Brave and Seth Rollins. When you talk about the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy, we talk about there's so many people that have came out of there already. We've seen a recent signee of NXT UK, Benjamin Carter, sign as a part of a former Black and Brave Wrestling Academy student. We also seen Travis Titan, who was really making an impact on AEW Dark recently. How does it feel being a part of a family that really develops you and makes you a star?
It feels really good to have a solid ground underneath our feet. As I was a Class 5 graduate, like you said, back in 2016, I've seen a lot of people come and go out of those classes. Each class is usually anywhere from 12 to 15 people. By the end of the first week of training, half the time you see at least half those people drop out. Most classes that graduate tend to be like 6 to 8. Every now and then they'll have a big class go all the way through, but for the most part, the people that want to be professional wrestlers or go through the ultimate training of becoming a professional wrestler will last the entire time. It's been nice over the last couple of years to see some of the talented individuals from all across the United States and all across the world find their way to Davenport, Iowa to train with the best in professional wrestling at the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. People just like myself saw someone with the talent of Colby Lopez, aka Mr. Seth Rollins, and said to myself, that gentleman is at the top of his game. He is a world champion and is in the current world title picture and has been in talks of one of the top professional wrestlers in the world these past couple of years. So people that are looking to excel and start their professional wrestling career on the best foot that they possibly could, they went to the same place as me. And there have been a lot of people that have had some amazing opportunities. And like you said, most recently, we saw Travis Titan on AEW Dark against Ricky Starks, which was amazing. I was so excited to see him get that opportunity. He's one of those guys that works in and out of the gym all the time, constantly trying to better himself and take everyone around here and have us push and chase him, which is nice. I always like some friendly competition in and around the gym, and seeing someone like Benjamin Carter really get out there and hustle and make a name for himself in a big way, having some really prominent matches through 2020 to make the most of every single opportunity. He's a perfect person to look at, who really went out there and took 2020 and made the most of it when a lot of people were tiptoeing around some stuff. I was trying to be as careful as I could the whole entire year, and he really took some amazing opportunities and had them flourish. The back half of 2020, seeing Ben on AEW Dark, then seeing him on Dynamite, then seeing him on matches that were on Impact, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he himself unfortunately caught COVID-19. He self-isolated, and then before you know it, all of a sudden he made he made the most of a bad opportunity, and the people that wanted him reached out to him and said, don't worry about this. When the time is right, we're going to reach out to you. And he made the most of an opportunity. And the NXT UK brand is going to be really exciting in 2021.
Oh yeah, the future is bright when it comes to the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy students who do pursue more, bigger, and better things, whether that's AEW, whether that's WWE, or whether that's NXT UK.
Yep.
So what I love too about the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy is the fact that, you're being trained under the very best, which is Seth Rollins, Kobe Lopez, and Merrick Brave. Can you talk to us about during your time during this, in the 2016 class, what was it like kind of learning under their wing, because they obviously have a very different viewpoint of professional wrestling.
Yeah. I love Colby has the utmost knowledge when it comes to professional wrestling. So does Merrick. They both have been doing this for an extremely long time. But there's no point to someone like Colby giving us the keys to success in WWE on like a very deep level when we're just starting out. There's no point to that information. They want to get us in there, make sure that our body and mind is right for learning the craft of professional wrestling. So during the 12-week course, when we're learning all the basic fundamentals of rolls and bumps, and in the last couple weeks of training, you start to get into the psychology aspect of professional wrestling, and you are left at the end of a 12-week course with the most basic fundamentals of putting together a professional wrestling match. It's up to you to go out there and paint your own picture when it comes to what you've learned. And professional wrestling is something that you should you can look at it like it's college. After you graduate college, you still should continue your education by learning more and more about your craft every single day to stay up to date and become the best at what you do. And that's what professional wrestling is. Even after graduating in 2016, going out and working for different promotions, you learn more and more all the time. And those guys are great because you can go back to them with any type of question, whether it's related to a move that you're trying to learn, a match that you put together, feedback on a promo, They want to give you genuine and honest feedback on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So that way you can continue to grow in your career. And it's up to you to reach out to them, because they're not checking up on each and every student that's ever graduated from Black and Brave. It's up to you to use them as a resource. And I always kind of give myself a little bit of time in between any instance where I reach out to them, because I don't want to feel like I'm a needy kid who reaches out every 2 seconds, like, did I do it right? Did I do it right? Did I do it right? I like to get feedback after a couple matches or a couple things. So that way, if I can see if I'm implementing the things that they taught me and the feedback that they're giving me correctly, so that way I'm headed in the right direction. So I have nothing but great things to say about them. It's definitely a tough love environment, but I feel like it's the environment that you grow the most from. And they genuinely care about the people that come from the Black and the Brave, because we represent them and they know that their name is on us. So if we're going to go out there and tell the world that I was trained at Black and Brave Wrestling, they want to make sure that we're doing it correctly.
And I love how the training that it is there truly embodies how the process is to become a professional wrestler, whether that's through the in-ring work, whether that's through the chemistry. And like you mentioned before, professional wrestling is painting a picture, it's storytelling. And what I love, and I don't know if you would agree with this as well, but professional wrestling is not just a sport, it's also an art form.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's what I absolutely love about this sport of professional wrestling. But speaking about JT Energy a little bit, I do have to ask, you are known to the world for your very, very arrogant and very confident presence in the ring, and when it comes to your in-ring work as well. Can you talk to us about where did the idea came for you when it came to the booty references, and also the tremendous ring entrances of you doing the homage to Rick the Model Martel?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot to unpackage in that question. Let me do my best. So when it comes to JT Energy, I try to, some people try to figure out who and what they are when it comes to what they want to do with professional wrestling. And some people don't figure it out right away. And I thought to myself, so there's things that I love about my past that I wanted to embody into who I was going to be as a professional wrestler. And one of those things was dancing. I have a dance background, and I wanted to figure out how I could take that into my professional wrestling persona. So my initials are TJ, and it just didn't roll off the tongue when I thought to myself, TJ Energy, but JT Energy had a little bit more flow, a more roll off the tongue. And I also thought when people heard the initials JT, that they would think of Justin Timberlake, who was another dancer, who was a Caucasian entertainer who I could associate myself with. And I just thought, okay, he's another white kid who can dance. JT, that's a pretty good thing for me to be associated with. And I'm one of those people, I don't slam Bang energy drinks or Rain energy drinks. I'm more of a shot kind of guy. And I love me a 5-hour energy, and I've loved 5-hour energies for a long time. And I thought to myself, like, as much as I make it a routine in my everyday life, I thought it was kind of part of me. And it's one of those things where I love to be able to take one during a day, and it's a quick pick me up. It's a bam right away. And I thought, like, energy, like, that's, people are gonna have something in their mind when they hear that word and they associate it with a certain action. So I'm like, okay, JT Energy, maybe this is something I can work with. The booty thing is, I thought to myself that I'm a dancer. I know I can move my butt. In the gym, I also have a fairly impressive squat for as much as I weigh and as much as I can lift. So I know I have some booty gains. And when I was gonna start talking about, my butt and things like this, it's very over the top and exaggerated, just like someone like Rick Rude, like you said, who would sit there and swivel his hips and make you look at certain things. But in the times that we're living in, 2016 to 2020, and all these different things, and a lot of rap songs, especially stuff like Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, most people nowadays, they're talking about the butt. That's the thing that everybody's talking about in some way, shape, or form. So I thought to myself, after was it Kenny Omega and Okada had their six-star match back in that time period, I thought to myself, well, what if I had a 6-star booty? I have the best professional wrestling. It's one of those things where I was always trying to figure out what my first nickname that I could stick with or put on my trunks would be. And 6-star booty was pretty quick and concise. I was calling myself the filth that you can't wash off. But that's like a long sentence. It's nothing quick and short like the 6-star booty. So I went with that. I've gone with that. It's something I pride myself on. When it comes to my entrances, if you see sometimes when I get in the ring and I lay on the ropes, I got that idea initially from Peyton Royce, one of the first times I saw her get in the ring. And I thought, that's really a cool entrance, but I don't see any guys doing that, or a guy that could work that the way that I do. So once I brought my water bottle into the mix that I missed myself with, part of my entrance every time is laying on the ropes and misting myself with water, and then slowly bending over and getting into the ring like Stacy Keibler used to do. So I make sure it's definitely an experience and an entertainment aspect when I come out there and you feast your eyes on JT Energy, the 6-star booty, for the first time.
And the 6-star booty, like I mentioned before, has that reminiscence of a Rick Martel, a Gorgeous George, just that confident, arrogant heel kind of, trying to play to like he's the best thing ever. And, I really see that kind of reminiscent to you and your presence in the ring.
Yeah, I try to take bits and pieces because I want to take things from other performers who have really made bigger things of them in the past, but work it into what is JT Energy. Not so much that people would go, wow, that guy's a ripoff of Rick Martel, or geez, he does that just like Rick Rude. Because I think we all have our heroes in professional wrestling who we look to and like take maybe their color scheme or their hairstyle. And so anytime I see something in professional wrestling that I like and I think really embodies JT Energy, I'm always thinking, how could I make that my own? How could I let that embody me and help my career and my character over the next year or the next couple matches or appearances that I have?
It's something that we really don't think about when it comes to not just professional wrestling, but also sports, television, or whatever that case may be. Because you could be Ric Flair all you want, but people are not going to remember what you do if you're doing the same thing like Ric Flair. They only remember how you put your spin into things. So when you have that ability to put your own spin on it, make it unique, make it your own, make it natural, make it who you are, that's something that really impacts not just the professional wrestler, but also the fans that are watching.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most important things when a fan comes to a professional wrestling show is when you are working out there, you're working for those people specifically. And just like a movie, when people walk out of a wrestling event, just like they would a movie, you're talking about specific things. You're talking about the highlights, what stuck out, what you like, what you didn't like. And whether you walk out of a wrestling show and you go, I hate JT Energy, or oh my God, that guy that was missing himself and it was slapping his butt. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm trying to leave a lasting impact in people's minds so that way they never forget me, or the first person they're talking about when they get in the car is me. Because whether it's good or bad, they're seeking out the memories and going to tell someone else about what they saw, hopefully to get them to come to the next show so that way they can experience the same thing they saw that night.
It gives me a good picture as well. A good opponent, I think would be a great dream match as well, especially in today's time of professional wrestling. And I think that happens to be one, the world's salt of the earth, and that is MJF.
Ooh, yeah, and like whenever I think about, so MJF is such an embodiment of the salt of the earth. Like, he has been praised as being the ultimate heel. And as far as Max goes, he must be that. He must be the ultimate heel in life, on Twitter, whatever it may be. And so I think the dynamic when it comes to what you would see in the ring would be really fun. Seeing someone like Max and how much of a POS that he loves to be. And I mean, of course, there would be all kinds of garbage that would be thrown online back and forth, but I think the real fun would be when you see someone with a stick up their butt across the ring from the 6-star booty. Two people who absolutely think the world should bow at their feet when it comes to their time to shine in a professional wrestling ring. You might see something that would be better in an aspect almost of a tag team, but I feel like one of us might have too big of an ego to even let the other person stand in front of a camera for too long. So it would be one for the ages. And if you were to have maybe a 2021 AEW Dark match to look forward to, I would love an opportunity to see a little bit of JT energy against someone like MJF.
That dream match. I love AEW Dark, so that's something that I really will look forward to.
Hey, me too.
Speaking about AEW, speaking about WWE, speaking about all these major promotions that are happening right now that are airing on television and of course on online, which you can find anywhere. One of those promotions, those major organization, is the Disneyland of professional wrestling. It is the be-all, end-all per se, and that is WWE World Wrestling Entertainment. You have made an appearance, or actually a couple here and there, when it comes to WWE. You were part of Raw at one point during its holiday episode. Can you talk to us about what that opportunity was like for you, and did you expect something like this?
I didn't expect what came of that day, because anytime you're afforded the opportunity to be a extra for WWE, all you're doing is trying to look your absolute best, show up, be professional, and be ready for absolutely anything, which is kind of the formula, because who knows what's going to happen on a nightly basis. And with how often things change in WWE, you have to be just as ready as the performers are. So I've done, 2 different little stints as members of No Way Jose's Conga Line, which a lot of independent workers have, and I'm sure we were all very sad to see when No Way Jose got let go. We all realized, oh man, there goes our Monday Night Raw or main event or SmackDown spot. So when it came to that weekend, I was part of on that SmackDown in Wisconsin, and then the TLC pay-per-view in Minneapolis, I was part of King Corbin's security. So I'd already had quite the weekend, letting Roman Reigns kick my butt. So I had the Saturday off, and I came back and wrestled for my local promotion, SCW Pro, that night, and I got Vader bombed by Santa that night. And then the very next night, we go and they did a double shot. They did a taping of Monday Night Raw, and then they did the holiday episode taping. Well, one of my fellow classmates, Dante Leone, got completely demolished by Eric Rowan on, I believe it was the 12/16 episode of Monday Night Raw. And then I was the unfortunate victim of the second match that night, which was the holiday episode. It was one of those things when they were trying to determine who would be wrestling Eric Rowan. You don't necessarily know what you're doing, but you're also like shaking because you want the opportunity that you've waited your whole life for, but you also know the opportunity you've waited your whole life for is going against a monster of a man. Especially if you've been watching Raw week after week, you kind of understand what he does and how quickly he does it. So when I was afforded the opportunity, the night before at SCW Pro, I had already bought a box of candy canes, and I had been hanging them through my ears and hanging them from my trunks. I really like to take our Christmas show and make it a naughty Christmas as much as I can for our local fans. So I had those things, and I brought them to Raw just in case. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. And Devon, he was the agent for our match and kind of gave me what was going to happen as far as me being out there and what my role was. And he had brought up that we're going to have candy canes for you. And I said, you don't have to have candy canes for me. I brought them myself. And he goes, you brought them yourself? I go, yeah, I have a whole box of them in my bag. He goes, go get them. I go, okay. And I came back and he goes, oh yeah, let's figure this out. And I was trying to see if like I could put candy canes all over me, like in my ears, like I did the other night, and really stand out. But I think WWE also knows that you don't want to have your extra talent stand out too much, because then all of a sudden they're going to be remembered way too much, just like James Ellsworth. You get a contract and you're not supposed to get a contract. So we went with put the candy canes in your trunks, which was good, because the beauty of my match versus some of the other matches that I saw was I had the chance to tell a very quick, short story, which was when the bell rang, I instantly put my hand up, which allowed the camera to focus on me, and you watched my emotions on what I was doing. And believe me, I milked every second of that instead of just rushing and pulling a candy cane out and going, look here, I'll run away. If you watch it back, I moved very slow, very methodical. I got out of the ring in a very promiscuous way to make sure that you got a good shot of my butt. And then when I probably should have just walked away, I decided to take all the candy canes out and try to give them to what was in the cage, which was ultimately a crazy, creepy, insane spider thing. And then I got completely demolished by Eric Rowan. But it was a demolishing that I'll never forget for the rest of my life.
Truly a one-of-a-kind experience, something that most professional wrestlers don't want to remember, but it's definitely awesome to remember at the end.
Yeah, and I think one of the craziest things about it, so like you have extras who during that time period had the opportunity just like I did, right? But I had the opportunity to be on the taped episode of Monday Night Raw. So just like all the WWE performers this year who taped WrestleMania and then they all sat home with their families and watched their WrestleMania moments happen, I was on Monday Night Raw. I knew everything that happened. I had the moment I've been waiting for my whole life, and then I got to sit home and watch it with my girlfriend and kind of give a little wink wink to everybody I knew on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and be like, hey guys, I don't know if you get the hint, but maybe everybody should tune in to Monday Night Raw. And so I got to sit home and watch the moment happen, which was crazy. Because after living it, I did and really watch it back and see how they chose to do the camera angles and hear Jerry Lawler do the commentary of the match and Dio Madden, try to say that I was doing good things or bad things. So it's one of those experiences when I look back on the day that it fell on and how I got to experience the event. Not many people get that experience, especially on like a holiday episode. There's always that opportunity that in like crazy WWE stuff that maybe my moment will pop up on the time that some extra guy tried to give Eric Rowan a candy cane, and that'll be number 10 on the list, when number 1 on the list is when Alberto Del Rio hit Santa with his limousine.
I mean, there's truly some memorable moments that happen when it comes to the holiday episodes. But I do have a sidebar question. So when you were confronted by that maniacal spider, because it wasn't revealed on television what it was behind that little cage yet, what was that kind of experience for you to kind of interact with that creature? Did you always know it was going to be a spider? Or was it just kind of rumors and then just you found it out on that point of time? What was your whole thing about that?
I didn't even get the opportunity to get to the cage. Like I was not in any type of in on what was going on or where the story was going, because afterwards he took one of my candy canes off the ground and he drops it in the cage like he was feeding something. And the announcers put that over. So I thought that was kind of neat that even after the match, he decided to take what we had used that week and implement it into his own story, maybe just to get the fans thinking at home, like, so he's got something in the cage that he's feeding. Okay, now we're even more interested. So it was smart on him to use that to tell his own version of the story a little bit farther, because I'm not sure if at that point he knew or WWE knew where they were going with it, but I don't know. It was sadly kind of an anticlimactic ending to a story that was getting a lot of local talent on TV on a weekly basis, which was pretty fun because everybody was wondering where Eric Rowan's storyline was going to go, but ultimately Drew McIntyre took the stairs and completely destroyed it.
I mean, it was one of the greatest mysteries of professional wrestling, but we did enjoy the story nonetheless. JT, I do want to thank you so much for being a part of this conversation and getting this conversation going. Before I go, though, I do have one more question for you. And of course, you are currently in quarantine as of this recording, but 2021 looks to be a huge year for you in terms of professional wrestling. I mean, obviously, we could see you anywhere. We could see you in Impact Wrestling. We could see you in AEW Dark. We could see you in WWE doing some of their stuff more. One thing I am curious about, is there anybody in the professional wrestling world right now, whether they're signed to Impact, WWE, AEW, or even in the independent scene when they're wrestling at the Indiana, oh my goodness, I can't even think about it right now. It's a venue. It's one of those venues. And one thing I do have to ask is there anybody that you have your eye on right now?
Yes. So with everything that's going on in this world, like there's no, in interviews I've done in the past, I will tell everybody bluntly, like, my ultimate goal is I want to work for WWE. All of us as professional wrestlers, we have a time card on our bodies, whether we know it or not. Our bodies are only going to allow us to do this as long as possible. I would love to work for WWE, but I understand I'm not going to run to an opportunity that I'm not ready for. So I'm ready when they're ready. And I will continue to work hard each and every year, each and every month, to make sure that I am moving forward in my career. I'm also not going to act like a place like AEW is not extremely attractive when it comes to the family that they have built as far as a company and what they are growing into. And with Impact Wrestling, I've had an opportunity to work shows here in Iowa for a company called the Wrestling Revolver, who's run by Sami Callihan. And Sami Callihan is the man when it comes to Impact Wrestling and has been this past year. So being able to go to any of those places is absolutely something that I would love to do. But in 2021, the person that I have my eyes on, who I want to revisit from a match that I've had in my past, is I would like to get back into the ring at some point this year, one-on-one with one of the NWA champions, Trevor Murdoch. Ooh. Trevor Murdoch is on my list for 2021 to have a match wherever it may be with his championship on the line and make him the traveling champion of North America that he should be. And I know that I should be one of the people on his list, so that way not only do I continue to show him and earn his respect, but I also show the people from NWA that people like myself are coming from the Midwest, and we are not someone to be taken lightly. And I have a lot of skills that I would love to offer to the NWA organization. And hopefully by having the opportunity with NWA against Trevor Murdoch, that I can show the companies like AEW, Impact, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, whoever sees JT Energy as an asset to their company, they're the ones that are going to hit the jackpot. They're the ones that are going to get someone who is not afraid to give their life and everything that they have inside their body to a place and be faithful and build their business to the heights that it can only go. That's what I'm looking to give to professional wrestling. And in 2021, I hope that dream starts with my rematch against Trevor Murdoch for his NWA North American Championship.
Well, we do hope that that rematch does happen. And I actually really compliment you on that choice, because Trevor Murdoch is truly one of, if not the best competitors that are still going on today. Former tag team champion, of course, rest in peace, Lance Cade. And knowing that he's continued off of the tag team run, going into singles competition with NWA, it's truly something special. And I cannot wait to see that rematch against JT Energy and, of course, Trevor Murdoch.
Yep.
All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, JT, for the conversation. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, as mentioned earlier in this interview. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, there's that little follow button on top of this podcast. So make sure you guys do that as well. Follow, but not just about me. Follow JT Energy. I'm pointing the right way. Just follow him on all social medias. Check out his matches. Check out his match against Trevor Murdoch. That will be in the link below. And you know what, my friend? I wish you the best 2021. Hopefully, it will be a little bit better considering current circumstances. And I wish you all the best.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate the time, the interview, the opportunity. We'll see what 2021 has, and hopefully we'll be right back here in the future doing the follow-up.